Robert, go ahead.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome council members and attendees to our first Zoom meeting of the year. This is Gualala Municipal Advisory Council regular monthly meeting of January 7th, 2021. So we usually introduce ourselves. I'm Robert Juengling, the chairman. Tom, you can introduce yourself.
Tom Murphy. Don.
Don Hess.
Melissa.
Melissa Finley.
And Mary.
By telephone, and then Mary Mobert, our administrative secretary. Okay, good. So good evening, folks, and welcome. Do we have any announcements this evening to start with? Okay, so we'll go on to our second item, which is the consent agenda.
I'd like to break this up into pieces tonight. I will move for approval of the minutes for November 5th. However, I am not going to be voting for the minutes of December 5th, of December 3rd.
Okay.
So I will move for approval of the minutes for November 5.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and then Melissa did attend the November meeting, and did you have a chance to read those minutes, Melissa?
No, I haven't read any minutes.
Okay. So let's take a vote on approving those November 5th meeting minutes. Tom?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Robert, myself, aye. And Melissa?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay.
May I inquire as to whether that was as presented or as corrected? Were there any corrections to say?
As corrected. Thank you, Mary.
As corrected?
As
What
corrected.
corrections were made?
Right.
What corrections were made?
On the November meeting, I don't have them in front of me, but I remember we sent them in and we reviewed them at the last meeting. I reviewed them before the last meeting and they were correct.
Right, so they are as presented tonight.
Yes.
All the corrections. Very well. That's what I needed to know.
Right, and as we presented at the December meeting, Mary, as we were going to, but then we didn't have a quorum. I have them in front of me, but I'm not going to read them into the record now. But I have them in front of me. Okay, so then let's go on. December, and we got a little disagreement here on what we're going to call these.
There's no motion on this.
No, but we have it on the agenda, and we haven't gotten to the approval of the agenda yet. So I don't know how we're going to call them, but I would say minutes for a non-quorum meeting or minutes from an unofficial meeting. No.
I'm dissatisfied with the minutes as they are.
Okay, let's table it. How's that?
Yeah, let's table it to the next meeting, and I'll discuss it with Mary separately and possibly you, Robert.
So somebody don't forget to mention that when we get down to approval of agenda, that we tabled the December 3rd meeting minutes, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Consent agenda number B, correspondence. The MCN, that's Mendocino Community Network, they're our website host. Their annual statement for our domain and website fees, $179.40. That's been submitted to the county, and we're waiting payment on that. 2C, approval of the agenda. Anybody have any last minute edits on that?
I do. I have changes. Melissa, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Melissa.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to see I placed right after B.
I didn't understand that, Melissa.
I'd like I to be raised up to be right after B.
She wants
I mean,
9I. Yeah, I understand that. She wants to move the landscaping discussion to right after the GCAP discussion, if we could do that.
9I up under B, under 9B. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna amend the agenda or ask for a vote on amending the agenda to table the 3rd of December 2020 meeting minutes.
Okay, and I'd like to change 2 other things. In 9B, delete the word petition. And in 9D, delete the words relocate, delete the word incubator.
Okay. Any other changes? Don, Melissa?
You mean the eggs hatched?
What's that?
I was asking Tom if the eggs had finally hatched. And he
No,
didn't
not-
need any.
Unfortunately not. We're still waiting to hear, so I have nothing new on it. So I'm just want to take that off.
You're throwing us off base, Melissa. I can't. I'm trying to be serious. Okay, with those amendments to the, with those edits to the agenda, can we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move to approve as amended.
Okay, a second.
I second as amended.
Melissa seconds as amended. Okay, we'll have a voice vote. Tom,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Robert, aye. Okay, so we've got an approved agenda as amended for tonight. Any, on to number 3, any public input tonight on non-agenda items?
I believe everybody here is for an agenda item.
Okay, move on to number 4. Do we have,
How about member input on non-agenda items?
if it's a non-agenda item, you can give some input on as a citizen if you'd like.
Well, it's as a member, because I wanted to know if you had called the lawyer and found out, because a quorum is a majority. 3 out of 4 members, because we only have 4 members. We don't have 5, we don't have 6, we don't have 7. We have 7 seats, but we have 4 members. So
Yes.
3 members is a majority, and 3 members is a quorum. You could have held a meeting last time, and I don't understand why you didn't, or why you can't count.
That's a comment, not for discussion.
Okay, let's look into it. That's all I'll say.
Check the bylaws. It says 4 members.
Okay, Mary, let's go on. But thank you, Melissa, for that comment, and we'll go on. Report from Mendocino County Law Enforcement. We have Aaron Finnegan here, right? Or do we still?
We do.
Or would you be giving us a little law enforcement report or no?
No formal report. No, just glad to be here. Wanted to make sure I checked in, and
Okay.
I did want to follow up. I don't know if this is the right venue or time slot, but yeah, just wanted to make sure I stayed in touch and made sure there was open lines of communication after last month's meeting. We have had some traffic complaints come in, and so I've made every effort to get officers down and patrolling the area and responding to those. And also wanted to follow up with the group regarding the speed feedback sign, the movable speed feedback trailer.
Mhm.
And the CHP owned one is unavailable. It's down for maintenance and in Ukiah. But I have made an inquiry with, or will be making an inquiry rather with DOT. I know they have some movable signs. And so trying to get one on the southbound side on a temporary basis.
So you're saying the one that's on the south end of town, coming into town from the south, is not working at the moment?
No, that's working. That's on the northbound. That's for northbound traffic.
Right.
So there's a large concern. It's been repeated by a number of different people regarding the southbound traffic as they come down the hill into the 25 zone.
Right.
So I had previously offered and had attempted to secure the CHP trailer in order to be able to place that on the southbound side on a temporary basis, and it was unavailable. It's down for maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then that's going to also be part of our streetscape discussion tonight.
Correct. Yeah. So it's in the plan, but the start of construction of the plan is scheduled for 2026. So
Right.
just in the meantime, on a temporary basis.
Hey, Tom, I hear a background noise. What could that be?
Really special, and I feel like having him for the month of
Hey,
January.
Tom?
And then
Does somebody have a radio going
to for the rest of my life.
or TV?
Nicholas is on the board.
Okay, I'm going to try muting some people and see what it is.
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, it stopped.
That was us.
I'm gonna point at
Mr.
Scott.
Ballmer turned it off.
That was us.
Turned it off.
Okay.
The dog's watching TV.
Business music. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, well, you're up next. That's why I thought I better check.
Okay, there's a good opportunity to say if you're not active in a discussion, you might want to put yourselves on mute and just don't forget to take yourself off mute when your time is when you're due. So I'm going to go on mute.
Okay, let's thank you, Aaron, for that. We didn't hear from Matt Kendall tonight. I guess he didn't want to attend or couldn't attend, so we'll hear from him in February. That's our Mendocino County Sheriff. On to number 5 on the agenda. That's coastal development. Tom? Tom is waving, but I don't know why.
I put myself
Robert,
on mute, that's
I'm
why. Sergeant Finnegan, thank you for being here tonight. Good news about the radar sign. Thanks for checking on that.
Back to Aaron. Okay.
I'm glad to hear you're getting some information from the citizens. I did get on social media and let them know about your report and put a video up, which got about 35 views in addition to a lot of comments on social media. So I'm glad to hear you're hearing from people. They were, I told them all to go and talk to the numbers that you gave us last time. And it's good to hear that. We will also be looking at Streetscape, the Streetscape project a little later tonight, but we have 4 applications before us on the agenda. So it's probably going to be 30, 40 minutes before we get to that.
Yeah, actually,
I'm going to go ahead and exit unless there were any other questions or concerns directed at
No, that's
law
fine.
enforcement.
You're
Okay.
good.
okay.
All right. Take
Thanks a
care.
lot, Aaron. Take care.
Good to see everybody.
Okay, Aaron, thanks for coming. Okay, so we'll move on to 5 at this point. Everybody ready? Coastal Development Permit 2019-0032. That's Wahlberg and et al. And that's the agent is Win. That's an updated application from November last year when we heard it. The address is 47101 Big Gulch Road. Request to construct a single-family residence and ancillary development. So Tom and I walked this the last time, and we have reviewed the project again, the amended project or the updated project. And let me see, what has exactly changed? Usually we let the applicant speak a little bit on their own if they'd like to, or their representative. So we'll give you the floor first before Tom and I speak about it. Okay.
Oh yeah. Very, very simply, there's an addition of a fence, a flagpole. We put the water tank on the plan, as well as the propane tank. I believe those were the only additions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Tara Jackson, agent for the applicant. And we also have added solar panels to the roof and then a split rail fence that is about 4 feet high and 2 different well locations. One provides sufficient water that'll be converted to a production well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to share a screen if I might.
Yes.
This, I believe, is a picture of the property. I took this from Paradise Drive, a little bit south of the property. And I think that's where the house would go, right there in that circle. This is a prime view area. And I don't know who, yeah?
Hang on a second. From where did you take this?
Paradise?
Where's that?
South of there. You can kind of guess. It's over the house.
Oh, from Robinson Reef Drive, maybe.
Robinson Reef, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. This is from Robinson Reef, about a mile south. And you can see there's a lot of homes over on Robinson Reef, and this is part of their view corridor. I don't know how much discussion you've had with planning or the Coastal Commission about this. I don't know how that would come up. Tara, you probably have a better idea of how these things go. But it is something that I was concerned about last December when we first looked at it. It's something I kind of remain concerned about. I realized that it's not possible to put the house in really another location. And I'm just going to express a little hope that you'll take what efforts you can to minimize view impact for your new neighbors. And
Okay.
That's about all I'd want to say on it tonight.
From reviewing this pretty extensively myself, can you leave that picture up, Tom?
Sure.
And looking at the site plan, I live up in Anchor Bay, so when I come south, I don't get the feeling, the neighbors, what are their names again? Capiner or something like that? I won't be seeing it as I come south on Highway 1, and I don't get the feeling that it's gonna be coming out beyond that hedgerow that's blocking the house to the north.
I believe it would.
You believe it would? Okay,
Yeah.
that area looks to me to be an area that's being kept clear because of habitat issues and all that. Maybe your representative can speak on that.
Tara?
Yes, that's correct. It would actually be further east, more towards the, I believe it's the cypress trees, because that is all grassland area that needs to be protected. So you will not, the house is further, the house location will be slightly further east.
Will it be visible?
Yes, from, if you were looking at the specific vantage point.
You have no choice in this
Yeah.
in this location. You have to. You're going to see it, but I don't get the feeling it's from what I've seen on this plot map that it's going to go any further to the west than where we see that house just peeking out a little bit.
Well, this is the house next to it, and I believe that correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, but I think the project would be right in the center of this circle.
No, it would be further to the east.
Further to the east, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Well, I'll just, I know you're doing some habitat work, and I think my, going forward, my recommendations could be to try to use whatever habitat you can in that area. I know it's limited to screen the house as much as possible from this perspective. I know you'll be screened by the cypress on the north. So on the south, look at this house here. This one's not jutting out on a really far out peak, and it's been there for a while, so it kind of got grandfathered in. But you can see that a big house here, unless there's some care taken, could be obstructing to the view. So I would just mention that at this point, so you can think about that. I don't really have any hard recommendations on it at this point.
understood. And I would like to point out that it isn't, according to the county code, a highly scenic area. So, one would always make sure to be responsible neighbors, but according to the code, this is not a highly scenic area.
Yeah, well.
Therefore, the views don't have the same layer of protection that you would have in the highly scenic area.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I'm going on your good neighbor instinct there, which is dead on. I mean, obviously, if you had a house in this position and you were looking out there, you'd be a little concerned. So we're
Right.
representing our constituents out there.
Right, yeah, and this is, it's a small parcel, it's less than an acre, it's very highly constrained by ISHA, so they're really only able to use a very small portion of the property, and that's the portion that is the furthest east for both the driveway and then the residence.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, enough said.
Now, I see you're limiting it to 25-foot height. What's the actual height limitation on that parcel?
28.
So that's good. I mean, you're keeping it a little bit 3 feet lower at least that way. That's okay. And then I had a question. You've got the letter from the GCSD. That's our community sewer district, right?
Yes,
Okay. CAL FIRE also is okay with it.
yes.
They can protect or provide fire protection. I think it's a great project. I think it looks great. You were very thorough with your habitat mitigation and the enhancement plan. I think it should be closely followed and adhered to that plan.
Yeah.
I think it has a 5-year span, right, on that. There's just you keep on referring to the LDAs, which are limited development areas, right? So
The least impacting development area.
right, okay. And that seems to be the very front of that parcel, the very westerlymost part. And so you're holding it quite close back to the cul-de-sac
Yes.
of Big Gulch. So I don't know, anybody else on our council have any input or questions?
I could go over a couple of questions we issued last year, Robert.
Yeah.
Our letter.
Okay. Okay.
It was said that we approved this 7-0 last year with considerations, or you should say. Successfully drilling a water well, which I know you're working on. Assurance the structure will meet fire safety, including sprinklers, verifying source of firefighting water. I think Mr. Bauer asked about that. And if we had said if well water is used, we recommend the plan include a proper storage tank to site it to minimize visual impact. And if a nearby hydrant is used, we recommend review as to whether the property is paying appropriate fees to NGWC. That was Mr. Bauer who wanted to know about that. He's the president of the water company. And certification the project has paid appropriate sewer fees, mapping of planned utilities, planned drainage for the property, and the aesthetic considerations that I've already mentioned.
Okay. I have a question, Mr. Wahlberg. What's the size of the water holding tank going to be?
We don't know because we don't have a well yet. So we put 5,000, which is a fairly large tank,
Okay.
but it will all depend on if there's water and then how much water is available will kind of change what will happen with that tank. So what we did with everything on this plan was make it as, I don't get the term, as most impactful now so that we can reduce it later if we can.
Mm-hmm. I believe Mendocino County Environmental Health Department requires about a gallon a minute. So hopefully you'll be able to strike a well with about that much volume or that much quantity. And maybe someday we'll get out of this water moratorium situation so folks that are within the water district can hook up to our local water company.
I just want to clarify for the record that Mendocino County requires 1 gallon per minute or half a gallon per minute with water storage capacity.
Okay, Tara, thanks. Okay.
And his ears must have been ringing because John Bauer is just joining the meeting now. He should be on in a minute. John, I think you're hooked up. If you're on mute, but you can unmute yourself if you have something to say. We're going over the Wahlberg application now. And I just mentioned your name in connection with because you had a comment last year when this came up.
Okay, initially I asked for comments from the council members. That would be Don or Melissa. Do they have one? And then I'll go to Mary as our administrative secretary. And we can always get a comment for John too, if he wants to. Melissa,
I'm
Don?
good. I've got no comment.
How about you, Don? Nothing from Don? I can't
Don,
hear
you're
it.
on mute.
Okay. The only thing I was a little bit questioning or wanted some information on was their, sewer connection or septic system. It sounds like it's a sewer connection. Is that correct?
Right, it is.
Okay, so there's no septic siting issues.
No, that's on the sewer district there.
Right. Okay, that's it.
Mary, did you have something?
Yes, I wanted to know how stable that cliff was. It looks awfully close to that cliff, and I know of one house that started with like 5 acres in the back of it and is now, the house is at prize. I don't think it's 1 foot from the back door, the ocean cliff. And I think they lost it in one very large storm, about 5 or 6 acres of it. So I just wanted to know how stable was that cliff?
Mary, there's a geological analysis in the CDP package at the county, and it's pretty thorough. They've done a pretty thorough evaluation of that.
So it's fairly stable?
Yeah, that was, you read through that and you'll be probably pretty satisfied.
I was just concerned that they might lose their house in like one really big Category 3 or Category 4 storm, which we do have every now and again.
They're meeting the setback requirement recommended by the geologist.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else out in the audience that would like to speak to the CDP? Any last comments from the applicant or their representative?
I actually, I have one question, and this would be for Mr. Bauer if he's on at this point in time. And this is regarding the last meeting where this project was heard. And he had made, just reading the minutes because I wasn't at that meeting, our other planner was on the project. It said that the water line goes to Iverson Point. If the well sites fail, the owners could negotiate for water from the community well and Iverson subdivision. And I'm wondering if that was, because that seems rather far from this location. So I'm wondering if that was just an error at that time or what that point was alluding to.
That was an error. That's
Okay.
unrelated to this project. Iverson Point is way too far to the north.
Right, yeah, I just saw it under the minutes, you know, and doing some due diligence, and so I wanted to check in on that. Thank you.
Okay. So can we have a motion on this? Are we ready for that? Council members?
Sure.
Or do we have any last comment from Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg? No?
Nope.
No.
Robert, I don't think we need a motion on this. We've already approved the project 7-0 last year until there's
how
some
about
changes.
I'd like to see us maybe making a motion on the updated application.
I don't know
No?
if there's much to approve at this point.
Okay.
It
Okay.
sounds like it sounds like it's going to be coming back to us again. Is that right, Scott?
I don't know what the whole process is. I apologize. I don't know all the regulatory type stuff. There's some questions about the well, when the well permitting comes, if you guys get involved with that or not, but
I'll ask Tara on that. I think that's going to be a separate CDP to get, well, you're going for.
No, it'll all be in the same CDP. So it will not be coming back to GMAC. After this, we will continue the process for CDP approval, and all of the proposed development that's within our project proposal will be encompassed in that single CDP. So I would request that you do make a motion on the visions, just so that it's nice and tidy, I guess, as we move forward with the rest of the permitting process.
All right.
So what
I'll
will you
make a
do?
motion.
Getting an administrative permit for the well, or?
No, so it's a standard CDP.
Encompassed. Okay.
Yeah, so you get all of the development in once, that you don't have to go back for each individual piece of development, which would be really expensive.
Yeah. Okay, then let's have
I
a
would
motion on this.
I will make a motion that we again approve the Wahlberg CDP 2019-032 with the conditions expressed on 12/8/2019.
Okay. Anybody like to second that?
I'll second.
Don seconded it.
Did he? I didn't hear that. Did he?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's take a voice vote. Tom,
Yes.
Don,
Aye.
Melissa,
I'm gonna abstain.
Melissa, aye. Did I hear?
No, she
Oh,
abstained.
no, I said I abstain.
Abstain, I heard. Okay. Myself, Robert, is an aye. So we have three ayes and one abstain, Mary. Okay. We move to coastal development permit number 2020-012.
Who is going to write?
The letter. Who's going to write the letter? Tom, you want me to
I
write it?
will. I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I forgot to say, Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg, thank you for attending. Tara, thanks for attending. You can stay on if you'd like.
All right, thank you. It's
Okay.
nice to meet all of you.
We'll look forward to seeing the Wahlbergs up here during a future visit. Take care.
Thank him again. Okay. So on to coastal development permit 2020-0012 Jacobson et al. That's located on 47260 Havens Neck Drive. That's repair of an on-site septic system without changes within minimum habitat buffer area. That was Don Hess and Tom Murphy.
Don, I'll
We
let you
have an
take the lead on
applicant.
this one.
Yeah,
Doesn't
okay.
seem like we have an applicant, do we? Or anybody or any
Oh,
representative in the audience?
Amy Wynn is here.
Oh, she's still here. Okay, that's right. Tara's here.
Okay, Tom, do you want to let me share screen?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if I need to give you permission to do that.
Let me check.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Okay. Well, this appears to be fairly straightforward replacement of a septic system. My understanding is that, I guess for one reason or another, the old system has failed or is not adequate anymore. And so they're proposing to replace it with apparently a more modern septic system, because there seems to be a number of additional components to it. You have the septic tank, and can everybody see this diagram here?
Don, I do not see it. Does anybody else have a black screen?
I don't see it either.
I don't see it.
It says you're sharing. It says that you started
does.
screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode, but
It's telling
double
me
clicked and it's not working.
it's telling me that I am screen sharing.
And it says you're screen sharing.
Yeah. So
My screen's blank.
What are you showing, Don?
I'm showing part of the CDP diagram that shows the plot plan.
Uh-huh.
Let me stop sharing and start again. Hold on.
I'm confused because the agenda says repair on-site septic, not replace on-site septic.
It's a replacement. They're not repairing the existing one. I can guarantee you that.
So the agenda's wrong.
Can you
There
see
go.
that
Yeah,
now?
Yes.
now it's there.
Okay, fine. All right. So in this diagram, it looks like the old septic. What's that noise? Anyway, okay, looks like the old system is right here, and with the leach field about in this position. So the new septic system is more on, I guess this is the north side of the house, with a leach field that is significantly moved to the west towards the bluff. This is a bluff. The ocean's right here. So obviously there are potential issues with this new system being too close to the ocean. However, they have done obviously geological studies to determine how stable the bluff is here and whether it is safe with a certain setback to put the leach field in this position. And apparently they have determined that based on their studies as to the rate of the rise in ocean level and the potential for the cliff to be eroded over time, that apparently with a minimum 50-foot setback, this should be okay. So, myself, I admit I'm not an expert in any of this. And so I obviously am going to rely on the studies that were done. There were also some studies done at a biological level in terms of the plants and any animals that might be affected, native plants. And that was done, of course, as well. And there are a number of mitigations that are recommended be done in order for this work to be completed in a manner that absolutely minimize any impact on this coastal zone, which is obviously, since it's so close to the ocean, the bluff there is a sensitive area. I can show you some pictures here. Let me see if I can get these for you. Okay, do you see these?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, hold on.
Sometimes it takes another minute for the pictures to show up, Don.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
You see this? Okay. So this is one picture looking from just the west side of the house towards the bluff edge. And it's about in this area where the new leach field would be located. There's another picture a little farther away and a little higher up. I actually walked up on their deck to take this picture. There was nobody in this house. And quite frankly, it looks like nobody's been there in a while. And in the yard, looks like, you know, nothing's been done in the yard for ages. You know, there are dead trees, fallen down trees here and there. It's all very overgrown with all this grasses and stuff. It's a little damp here, but I think that's just because it's been rainy. I don't think normally this is likely a very damp area. Now here's what the actual bluff looks like looking down at the ocean. It's quite a nice view here. But you can see there is a start of some erosion right here. Now this may have happened a long time ago, probably did. But, you know, this can and probably will happen over time. But I think the time frame that they've determined is so long that putting that leach field in the position they're recommending would not represent a risk that, you know, if the cliff edge deteriorated more, or that would potentially result in some leakage, which would be highly undesirable, of course. Now here we're looking sort of towards the bluff edge, looking back towards the house. So again, right about in here, and I'm not sure, there's a couple stakes out here. I don't know what they're for, whether they mark anything. They look like they've been there for years. But there are two stakes, one here and one a little bit further back. But as you can see, there's clumps of, these are just tree branches. A tree either fell over or was cut down here. So there's just a bunch of tree branches there. Okay, and again, okay, here's a close-up of a stake and the type of brush we have here. Picture of the house. I think that, yeah, it looks like the that equipment and the main tank would be on this side of the house. Looking at it would be to the left here.
Yeah, that's where the whitewater system is located.
Whitewater system. Okay, that's what it's called.
Yeah. And that's already been installed.
It has been installed?
That system has been, yeah, not the leach field yet. By the way, I will not be voting on this because I feel I have a conflict on this one. But when Don's done, Tom will say some words and then I'll just chime in a little bit.
Well, we have Amy Wynn here too. Usually we let the applicant speak first. So
okay.
We went a little out of order here, but Amy Wynn is available to speak to this project, I believe. Right, Amy?
Okay, we'll let Don finish, then we'll go to Amy. How's that?
Yeah, I just have a few more pictures to show. It's funny though, you say that the whitewater system is installed because I didn't see any evidence of anything, you know, on this side of the house where that's supposed to be. I guess if it's all underground, then everything is just overgrown at this point.
Maybe I just read that, but I didn't actually look to see if it was there. Usually you will see, well, wait, maybe Amy will say something on that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's it for the pictures.
Okay.
Amy, is this your project?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair and council members and Mary, and it's a pleasure to see you all again. And some of you are new to me. I haven't met some of you, but it's I appreciate the work that you all do and your careful consideration of this project. Let's see, I can't remember who said that this is a replacement as opposed to a repair. That is correct. The existing leach field area has completely failed, and we've looked at a number of locations on the property, and the location that's been designed for the primary and its replacement field are in the least environmentally impacting location. The house is empty because we can't, they can't use any water, they can't flush. So unfortunately, and when we submitted this application, the county was still not accepting emergency permit applications for failed septic systems. But that's changing, or at least that waxes and wanes right now. They actually did for another one of our projects accept, and they approved an emergency permit for a failed septic system where the house couldn't be used. So you're right, the house is empty. And so it's suffering a little bit from not being able to be inhabited, as you can tell. But with this repair, the property will be revived again, and we'll be able to get rid of the dead trees and have some maintenance. The existing septic infrastructure of the whitewater treatment tank and septic tank, I think I want to look at that, because I believe that the existing septic tank, we might have made an error on our annotation, so I can take a look at the Carl Rittemann's design, because I see on our site plan, and I know I can't share my screen with you guys, but it's the same that that Council Member Hess was sharing earlier. We have an existing septic tank that's going to be abandoned adjacent to the failed field. And we worked for a long time after we discovered all of our constraints on the property, the biological constraints. We really worked very closely with Rittemann and Associates to try to, get that septic system as minimal of a footprint as possible, as far from the bluff, and with still within the property line, and so this is pretty much the only configuration that can take care of this house. So we are very close to natural resources. So I'll talk about those first, and then I'll talk about the geotech. So the natural resources, we've got a portion of the field that would be it's very close to the Deschampsia, the tufted hairgrass meadow. And fortunately, tufted hairgrass, while it is rare, it is very easy to mitigate for potential impacts to them. So as you see in the report, we've got a good mitigation program for that. And I mean, you can even buy, I bought tufted hairgrass seed for my own property because I'm just a dork, and so you can obtain that seed from a really fantastic seed company down in Bolinas. It's quite pricey, but if you want to have that really essential coastal grassland, then it's obtainable, or the seeds can be collected from the hairgrass that's on site. So we feel quite confident that impact can be mitigated for, and then plus with the trees being removed, it actually expands the potential habitat for the hairgrass meadow. To the geotech, our project was designed to be, substantially more than 50 feet away from the bluff edge, because we felt that was, a reasonable setback where we wouldn't have to hire a geologist to perform a geotechnical review. Part of the delay of getting this to this point was that in the spring, county planning wanted to see a geotechnical report, and so we paid for that. And fortunately, that report came back where our setback, I think the 75-year bluff retreat rate is 12 feet on this property. And so we're over 4 times back from that. So we feel quite good about that. What's that?
75-year retreat is 12 feet? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we're 4 times farther back from that. So I think, you know, we feel pretty comfortable that this system will last, you know, probably outlast the house. And, you know, should not, you know, shouldn't be a problem when the, you know, when the bluff continues to erode. It should be quite a long time, you know, 150, no, 200 years before it gets to this point. But if it does get closer, certainly that would be a, you know, if it gets to the point where it starts to impact, you know, be mutually exclusive, then that would need to be addressed with the future coastal development permit, because that would obviously be a problem again for the house.
Yeah. So that's actually very low annual bluff rate retreat. Yeah.
12 feet is not annual. 12 feet is.
No, I know. In 75 years. So annually, that would be very, very minuscule.
Yeah, let's see. And I don't have that right at my fingertips, but I can find it for you if you wish.
The geological report, and when you said 12 feet, it just caught me off guard. And that was, but it was much less on the annual basis.
As I remember, it was like a couple of inches at most.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I would imagine that is really kind of just a estimate, which of course that's all you can make at this point, but it's all going to depend on climate change, how severe climate change is, and the rise in sea level.
I wonder, Tom,
I have a question.
Those numbers are correct, and it could be much worse.
I have a question, please.
Okay, let's go to Melissa.
Are you saying that you are disqualified by reason of a conflict of interest is why you will not vote?
Yes.
A council member stating such as, well, such bylaws. Any council member who is disqualified on a particular matter of reason by conflict of interest shall publicly state or have the presiding officer state the nature of such disqualification in open meeting. A council member stating such disqualification shall not be counted as part of a quorum, shall not participate in the debate on the matter, and shall be recused for the purpose of determining the outcome of any vote on such a matter. So you're not even supposed to be in on the debate if you are disqualified by conflict of interest.
Okay, I can refrain from making any comments.
I mean, that's the bylaw.
Right. I accidentally went to this coastal development permit, and then I realized I was involved with these folks on ownership of other property. So that's why I kind of felt like I had a conflict, but I thought some of my input might be valuable to the conversation is all, Melissa. I
understand that, but according to bylaws, if you have a conflict of interest, you shall not participate in the debate.
All right. You know, one of the realities here, and I'm speaking as vice chairman here.
Okay.
One of the realities here is that everybody in Gualala has day jobs too. Robert has a day job. If he made any comments in here, we will take it as a citizen and not as a member of this council.
That's not what the bylaws say. If you want the bylaws to say that, you need to change the bylaws.
Well, the bylaws say he cannot participate as a member of the council.
No, it says that the member shall not participate in the debate on the matter.
No, so we
all right. Well, Robert, you can refrain from further comment.
Right. Melissa brings up a good point. And so so there's no perceived conflict whatsoever. Why don't I just refrain from making any comments? I have one more valuable thing I would have liked to add, but I won't. Okay, so it's between
I'll put you on mute. I'll put you on mute, Robert.
There you go. Shut me up. Tom.
There you go. See, I even put Robert on mute sometimes. Okay, so where are we? Tara, or Amy, did you finish your remarks? And Don, did you finish yours?
I can respond to Councilmember Hess's concern about sea level change. And that was sea level change and king tides and all that, and slope stability analysis was all addressed in the geotechnical report. And I think the bluff retreat rate is No, I'm not going to say. I need to look it up. I can't. I'm terrible at remembering stuff, so I'd have to look it up. But it is on the matter of just a few inches a year. But again, it is the only. It's quite conforming to geotechnical setbacks, and it is in the only feasible location for this on a property without direct impacts. Great impacts to environmentally sensitive habitat area and proximity to wetland. Which is on the east side of the property. So this, if it ever does become an issue, it certainly would be an issue for the property owner because they would no longer be able to use the house again. They would not be able to flush the toilet and create wastewater. So they would, aim to rectify that solution, rectify that problem at that time. And if there's no room for, well, that's why you have a replacement field. So, if the primary field is going to be installed first, and that's west of the replacement field. So if that primary field goes first, then the replacement goes in.
Okay.
I don't know if that addresses any of your concerns, but I'm certainly available for more feedback. As you wish.
Are there any other questions?
No, but I think she did address that issue with potentially having to move the leach field. And I did notice that area that was kind of set aside a little bit further east and north, I think, of the planned leach field. Is that correct, Amy?
Yes, that's a requirement by environmental health to have both a primary and a replacement designed.
Okay, I see.
I have one question. Amy, this could be a yes or no, really. And that is, as I understand it, this is an expansion of the leach field that touches on the habitat, the protected habitat. Is that correct?
Oh, we're not, I don't know what your question is exactly. We're not enlarging the septic capacity. We are meeting current standards.
I'm talking about, just mean the leach field itself. Does that extend into the habitat slightly minimally?
Yes, slightly minimally it does.
And that's an expansion, isn't it?
It is not an expansion of the septic system.
But the leach field.
I'm sorry, it is not an expansion of the septic leach field beyond the capacity, the current capacity of the house. The house is however many bedrooms it is, and the leach field is sized to accommodate the house. And believe me, we tried very hard to not actually have, to have development as far away from natural resources as possible, because it's, as you might expect, development just to create the argument and do the analysis is expensive. The applicants pay a lot of money for that analysis, and then doing the mitigation measures. Of course, the burden of being cautious and then mitigating for potential and direct impacts to natural resources is time consuming and expensive.
Okay, I'm satisfied on that point. If there are no further questions from the council or comments from Ms. Nguyen, I would entertain a motion.
Yeah, I have a motion that we could use, I think. All right. I would move to approve the CDP 2020-0012 with the following conditions. 1, that a minimum 50-foot setback from the bluff edge be strictly adhered to as recommended by the Geological Site Survey. And 2, that all of the recommended avoidance and mitigation measures cited in the Biological Scoping Survey be strictly followed in order to protect birds, bats, amphibians, and various native plant species.
Second for discussion. Amy, you have a question?
Yes, the geotechnical report specifies a 12-foot setback. So if we're looking for strict adherence to the geotechnical report and the engineering geologist, that's 12 feet. We've simply designed our project to be even more further back than the bluff, but that wouldn't be a regulation.
Don, would you want to amend your motion?
No, not at all, because let me read this part. This is part of the conclusions of the geotechnical survey. Second to the last paragraph. Nonetheless, because of the shallow slide activity on the bluff edges, BAI recommends, in conformance with the Mendocino County Health Department guidelines, a 50 feet setback from bluff edge for the planned leach field. So that's
Gotcha.
where I'm getting this information.
Gotcha. Thank you for reminding me of that. So that's actually not a geotechnical setback. That's the Department of Environmental Health setback. So I think then what you would probably want to do is revise your motion to say you recommend the strict adherence to the environmental health 50-foot setback.
Oh, okay, we could
Yeah,
do that.
because that's where that requirement comes from. It exceeds almost by 4 times the geotechnical bluff retreat setback. But that's where that comes from. And thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot that was an environmental health requirement. Too many projects, too many details.
Okay, so it's a Mendocino County environmental health requirement.
Exactly.
Okay. Do I need to reread that as we
Yes, please.
are
Please
changing motion?
amend your motion.
I'm not going to amend it. I'm just going to reread it. Second. Okay, so I move to approve CDP 2020-0012 with the following conditions. 1, that a minimum 50-foot setback from the bluff edge be strictly adhered to as recommended by the Mendocino County Environmental Health regulations. And the second requirement is the same. There's no change there.
Would you repeat that, please?
Second requirement, that all of the recommended avoidance and mitigation measures cited in the biological scoping survey be strictly followed in order to protect birds, bats, amphibians, and various native plant species.
I'll second that. Second the amendment motion. And we'll take a vote. Don,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. It approved three votes for aye and 1 recusal by Mr. Juengling.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your consideration.
Thank you for being with us, Amy, and I'll take Robert off mute before he explodes back there. Oh, you're off mute. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'll return the chair to Mr. Juengling.
Okay, on with our CDPs here. Number 7, coastal development permit number 2020-0019. That's the Wilson CDP located at 47000 Big Gulch Road. That's grading and removal of contaminated soil, installation of 10 monitoring wells and 1 extraction well. Applicant is also requesting destruction of these 10 monitoring wells, re-roof of the existing residence, and installation of 2 flush mount skylights on the existing residence. Now, it turns out that I was the only one that walked in and saw that CDP. I'll give some comments here, but let me open it up first for discussion from the applicant if they're here, or I can say some words on it however you wish. Are you here, Jeff Wilson?
The screen, I'm Ann Shear. I'm the applicant, more or less, for the roofing project.
Okay.
I think Rebecca from LACO has sent an email to Mary that sort of defines the first part of the CDP project.
Right, we saw that.
And clarifies that.
Mhm.
So I can't really answer any questions about that, technical questions. That's all LACO's kind of job. I'm mostly here just to answer any questions about the roof project.
Okay. I didn't really have any questions on the re-roofing of the existing residence,
Okay.
nor the installation of the 2 flush mount skylights. That's pretty much straightforward stuff. But I thought I'd just explain a little bit about what I know about the property and what I read into the what happened there at the site. Okay.
Yeah, and I can help you with that too, but go
Sure.
ahead.
Okay. The emergency permit that was taken out on this property, that originated from an unauthorized release of petroleum from a 500-gallon diesel above ground storage tank and a 500-gallon diesel underground storage tank used to store heating oil for the subject residence. That failure was reported back in 2015, which then set in motion the cleanup at this site. And being in the real estate profession, I've dealt with these kind of situations before, so I'm kind of familiar with what you guys had to do there. The fuel impacted soil was disposed of off-site at an approved disposal facility consistent with Regional Water Quality Control Board recommendations, and it was in cooperation with the North Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board, Mendocino County Environmental Health Department, and the South Coast Fire Department. In fact, I think the first people that were notified was our local South Coast Fire Department, and then they helped take the next steps. But I'm just summarizing what I extensively read in the coastal development permit. And there were hydrological investigations that occurred along with remedial action plans. And that's what included those 10 monitoring wells to see where the unauthorized release of petroleum went. And then there was an extraction well that was taken out, and that permit was issued by Mendocino County. So over time, since this 2015, 2016 time, case closure was granted. There was complete abandonment of the wells, the 10 or 11 wells, or 10 wells. Public comment period was opened up and then ended back on February 3rd of 2020, and there were no comments received. So basically, you've filed a CDP here as an administrative requirement in order to receive final clearance on the monitoring well removal, which was completed in 2020, June of 2020. And that's what you wrote to, or what you sent to Mary, I think it was just today. I saw that.
Correct.
So that's kind of my summarization of what happened there. Anything else you wanted to include there, Jeff, or?
No, this has been a long journey. It's another step towards the end, and I'm happy it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I can see there was a thorough job done there. That's how you have to do it with the Environmental Health Department and go through all these
Right.
steps to clean up a site. And we know all too well about that, even in our downtown here in Gualala. So
yeah,
good for you. Good you got it all done.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions on this?
I do, one.
Okay.
I'm confused. Are the 10 monitoring wells, are they being installed or destructed?
They had been installed already, and now they're being abandoned. And they already, that's
so,
already all happened, Melissa. It already all happened.
Right. I know. But so you're getting a permit to install it and to remove them, even though they've already been installed and removed.
Right, because it was
Right?
done under an emergency permit. All that was done already, and now they're following up. Like we've had one of these CDPs before, where it was a follow-up after all the emergency work was done. I think that was an Old Coast Highway with tree removal one time that we dealt with, and so now they're getting.
But I was just confused because it says install, destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you are getting permit. This is a permit to install and to destroy, and they were installed and they were destroyed. That's all I was trying right now.
And
I
so
was,
it's like an after the fact clearance on all that work that was done.
you explained it. I'm good.
Okay. So, Jeff, I don't think I have any questions. You have the re-roofing that you're still doing as part of this CDP.
Yeah.
And, that's just an addition to this, I guess. I mean, normally I thought you could do a re-roofing job by just getting an over-the-counter permit at the county, but maybe because of the skylights, I'm not sure on that, why you're doing this under the CDP.
I was advised by the county to do that.
Okay.
I don't really understand why either, but I'm here for the ride. I'm just trying to get it done.
Maybe I should have disclosed that I knew Betty and Jim, your parents. Should I have done that, Melissa?
I don't see it as
The parents, okay. They used to do a lot of stuff here at Fort Gualala. Anyway,
I don't see that as a conflict of interest just because you
okay. You get to know a lot of people after you've been here for a long time. But anyway, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you
for your input on this. I'm the only one that saw it, I guess. Should I make the motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve give our advisory recommendation to approve coastal development permit number 2020-0019. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tom, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, can we take a vote? Tom?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
And myself? Aye. Okay, so we've handled our 3 CDPs. Thank you, Jeff, for attending. If you want to stay on, you sure can.
and thank you.
Okay.
My dad was very happy.
Good luck with the rest of your project.
Thank you.
Who will write on this
Oh.
one and who will write on the other one? The one before this.
Good question. I'll write on Wilson.
I'll write on Jacobson.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got Tom, Don, and Robert on the CDPs. Okay, can we move on then to number 8? That's the timber harvest plan that we've had on our agenda now for a couple of months. Timber harvest plan dash, wait a minute, 1-20-00150 Mendocino.
Robert, could I just say, we have a few guests here, and I just
Sure.
want to let them know that this is the last application we're dealing with, and we're going to move on to the council matters. I think that's probably why they are here. I know Mr. Bauer is here and a couple of other people.
Okay. This, I looked at it again today. This timber harvest plan looks like it's gone. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, Don. Don and I are reviewing this. What I saw on the Caltrans website was that the timber harvest plan, which is on the Little North Fork, prime habitat up there for the fisheries, and it's adjacent to our local dump site up there. What do we call it now? A transfer site. That it has gone through a second review, and that there was a recommendation to the director on December 26th. There's a letter on the Caltrans website to approve this plan, which kind of saddened me, but apparently they've met all the requirements of this timber harvest plan. And the end of the public comment period on this was the 5th of January this year. There was public comment received. I'd advise you, or I'd recommend to you all, if you wanted to read up on this a little bit, to go to a letter that was submitted by our local Friends of the Gualala River organization. And it was a pretty extensive letter with their concerns. So that would educate you or let you know what some of the comments were from our constituency out there on this THP. So other than that, I don't have anything else to say on it. It's just that it seems like we've got to be more concerned about the cumulative impacts of these THPs that keep coming in front of us. And
they're going to destroy water.
They're getting closer and closer to our, they're in our watershed areas, and they keep on coming up, and they keep on getting closer and closer to where we actually get our water source. And that's well number 4 of the North Gualala Water Company. I'd hate to see, you know, then all of a sudden a THP come in for a review or for our, you know, for us to look at, and it may just be above our water intake for North Gualala Water Company. It would be very concerning to me. So I wonder how many more of these possible THPs might be coming, and what their effect could be on not only our water source, but on the watershed areas of the different tributaries of the Gualala River, meaning Little North Fork, the North Fork. And
isn't this in our water area?
well, so yes, it is, Melissa. So let's go to Dawn, and then we'll go out to the other council members.
Okay, well, to be honest, I haven't really been following up on this that closely lately, although I am on the email list for Caltrans, and I don't recall getting anything in terms of any recent documents that have been submitted or anything for this particular THP. I'm kind of wondering whether it's actually too late to make any comments or do anything about this plan. I don't think they can actually start cutting until what, the summertime? I don't think they can cut trees in the middle of
Not yet, but it looks like it's getting final approval. From what there's so many documents on the website. You have to kind of look at the most recent dates and read about what's been commented on and what the CAL FIRE people have approved. And it looks like a second review was done, and they have recommended to the director of CAL FIRE to approve this plan. And those are 2 of the most recent documents I saw, Don.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Is
I think
fire-
you alluded to this point a little bit, Robert, that these THPs need to be looked at in a broader way, and not just individually as isolated harvest plans, because they have cumulative effects on the watershed and biodiversity in the forests that surround us. And so the way it seems to work is each THP is just treated as an isolated plan to cut trees,
Right.
as opposed to looking at what's going on in the region. There are other plans afoot, and the main one, of course, that Fogger has filed suit about, is mostly in Sonoma County, if I'm not mistaken, but also is in Mendocino County in the Gualala River watershed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there is an issue, I think, that should be addressed, but it's apparently not being addressed by CAL FIRE. And I don't know what the solution is in terms of having a more global look at what these THPs, the impact of these THPs in a cumulative way is.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Melissa, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was thinking that any THP that Fogger is fighting, we need to get behind their recommendations and bolster it and fight it as well. Because if Fogger's fighting it, then it's a danger to our water system. So I was asking, is Fogger fighting this particular THP, or are they ignoring it because it doesn't affect?
I was I was referring to a comment letter that was submitted by Friends of the Gualala River. It was a letter dated December 20th of this year, within the comment period, time period. And
Right. And were they fighting it?
well, I don't know where it stands as far as objecting to it or where if they're fighting it. I don't know that. I was just referring to a good comment letter that I read in there, and I thought it might be of interest to us all to read that letter from Friends of the Gualala River.
Well, we're talking about it tonight. If you read it, well, I'd appreciate it if you'd let us know if they were for it or against it.
I'd say those comments were against it.
What?
I'd say that those comments that I read in that letter from Friends of the Gualala River was that they were against it. But I can get you a copy of that letter if you'd like, Melissa. I'll scan it and send it.
No, that's all I need to know because if they're against it, I'm against it.
Okay. Tom, you have any comments on this? And then we can, there's nothing we can do at this point, but we can continue to give our comments even maybe after the comment period is over. But
yeah, I agree with Don and Robert on this, that we need to take a broader look at these. I think there's a couple of ways to do that. One, we could ask Fogger to let us know when they see something coming up, because they keep pretty close tabs on this, or other environmental groups as well. I don't think the comment period closure is the reason for us to stop paying attention to this. And I think we could still make a comment and submit it with CCs to Fogger and anybody else who might be interested in this. I don't necessarily agree with Melissa's position that we should routinely take Fogger's position. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I do think that they do pay, we should pay attention to any organization in the community that has put in the time and effort to follow these things more closely than we might be able to. So that's about the extent of my comment. I share the same concerns that have been expressed by the other council members.
I'd like to clarify my statement then. Any THP that Fogger is against, I would like to side with them against it. If they have nothing to say, yes, we still need to look into it closely.
okay, that would be your individual opinion then, it sounds like, Melissa, right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
my individual take on it.
Okay, and I think we need to see if we can get some, Don and I should probably pursue this as being part of this agenda item, that we may have a better connection with Friends of the Gualala River, so we can get more information from them in a timely manner, or be updated a little bit further on these specific THPs that affect us closely here with regards to the water source.
Yep.
Okay, should we move on?
John, I'm here to maybe make a little comment on this, if you guys will accept it.
Go ahead, John.
This is my first time on your YouTube, so I'm doing it by phone and watching you on the computer. Whatever the worst rusty materials or equipment I have, here it is. There's a lot of things going on with timber harvest plans, and I'm afraid that, I know you guys have had some training here back a year or so ago on Brown Act and other things to have to do with Brown Act, and I'm real concerned that there's still a pretty severe conflict of interest going on, and I know you kind of caught yourselves at it tonight on one of the agenda items, but I think in a timber harvest stand, and you know my position there, that I feel it's a crop, and it should be done in the fashion that CAL FIRE says it can be done in safely and protecting the environment. But in my position tonight, I still see what I considered members of the GMAC who are not operating on an unbiased basis. And one severe one that really slaps me in the face, especially about timber harvesting, which is this subject. There's a sign behind your right shoulder, Robert, that's been there for almost a year, no harvesting in the floodplain of the Gualala. And I think that should be removed from the picture. You shouldn't comment on any of these. You shouldn't be any part on any of these, because it's a conflict of interest on your part. And you're not unbiased.
Okay.
I'd like to comment on that. John, we hear you. We pay attention to this, and we do review this with the county council, as you were welcome to do. Our review with the county council and our training on the Brown Act specifically said that we're on the council specifically for our opinions as we represent the community. We're selected for that and appointed by the board for that reason. Everybody who comes to a meeting has an opinion on different issues. Let me use an abstract example here. People are either for or against a woman's right to free choice over her body. Those people tend to sit in office and make decisions on these issues. And even though they may have strong feelings about that or in their private lives belong to organizations that work on those causes, it does not preclude them from sitting in a meeting. The important part here is that we are able to set aside our personal feelings when we come to a meeting, listen to the evidence, and make a fair decision. And as long as we are able to do that, my understanding from the county council is that we are in the clear in that regard. So thank you for your comment. I appreciate it, and we do consider these things.
I had some discussions with some of the county people, and one of the most important ones is that you guys are representing this entire community. And even though you have strong positions, you need to operate on an unbiased basis. And I don't think that's really coming out. But anyways, on this particular subject matter, this particular THP and whatever, I think I'd advise you to try to look for a good timber management person. And I know John Bennett does Gualala Timber, and have him come to a meeting and explain some of the things that go on. Because in my book, I've had a lot of discussions about loss of water, more water, over time, less water. And in general, the overall result of timber harvesting is almost neutral. So, you know, that's an important fact to be dealing with when you're concerned about water resources. So knowledge is very important here, and I would hope that you could invite someone in who would not feel that you're biased badly, that you're really looking for information. And I just want to leave you with that open thought.
Okay.
I think we always look for that kind of information, John, and all members of the public are always welcome at our meetings, as are you, and we always appreciate your presence and your points of view. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me for the first time on YouTube.
Nice to see you here. We missed you.
Yeah, come on in anytime. Okay, thank you for those comments and opinions. Let's move on to number 9.
Robert,
Yes, Mary?
may I speak to the issue as a citizen?
Sure.
I would like to see GMAC comment on any and all timber harvest plans. The Gualala River is exceedingly important to the town's water supply and to the tourism businesses here. And I do believe that the destruction of the river and its extreme degradation has been primarily due to over timber harvesting over the last 100 and some years. It's silted. It's we're battling now climate change. We have endangered species like the red-legged frog in that area and in that river, as well as coho salmon and other salmonids. They should be protected. And the timber industry is not doing that. And CAL FIRE just gives a rubber stamp to anything that is going to be harvested, whether it's in the floodplain, whether it's in the riparian area, they don't care. So I think that GMAC should say to CAL FIRE their point of view and discuss all timber harvest plans that come to this area for the sake of the river, for the sake of the economy here, for the sake of the habitat, and for the people, for their recreation. So that's my 2 cents. And I thank you for listening.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to remind the council and Mary and Mr. Bauer, since he hasn't been here for a while, that one of the actions we've taken in recent months was to set up loose plans. I think, Robert, you and Don are working on this, possibly to have a water discussion, a water seminar. And that's something that I don't want to have fall off the radar. But I think it speaks to John's point and Mary's point of getting more information, getting experts from different agencies beyond the forestry department, and getting more water experts. Because I think, John, you'll be interested. We concluded a couple of months ago that we just don't know enough about all these different subjects. And you've raised points on this before. Mary has. Melissa's raised some points on this. And so one of the actions we took was to plan on doing that. We just have not had the bandwidth to do that at this point, but that's on the back burner here.
Will a letter be written regarding what was said here to CAL FIRE? I'm just inquiring for the minutes and for the record.
We didn't have anything planned for that, no, Mary, but we could send them a copy of the minutes if you'd like, if we think we should. Okay, but this is part of being on GMAC. This is part of what we do in our voluntary roles here. Is we open up these items to discussion from the community. These are all opinions in many senses. And yes, we would like to, if we had, as Tom just said, had more bandwidth, so to say, or had more time, or had more voluntary time on our hands. We would love to get more experts in here to talk, and we'll continue to strive for that. So it's good to have this sharing of opinions, and I hope in the new year we keep it up. Okay, so we should move on. Let me see, what time are we at? Roughly 20 to 8, I'm seeing on my clock. Council matters.
I've got 7:30.
Okay, so
That's
I'm
7:29.
7:29.
Okay. Council matters. Old business. Are we ready to cover that? We had a little edit to our agenda on that. We crossed out the petition, right?
No, old business, I have a blank there, Robert.
Okay. So I'm going already on to number B, to letter B. Our GCAP committee and ad hoc committee on that. Updates on Caltrans and our committee.
Right.
Can I turn it over to you, Tom, on that?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Robert and I are the Gualala Community Action Plan Committee, and we do have an update for you tonight. For the purpose of this discussion, we're going to be presenting as the committee. We don't have the applicant here, which would be MCOG or Caltrans. We will present our review of the information that they've presented to us, and then we'll take public comments and open it for council discussion. To start off, I'm going to put everybody except Don onto hold, and then after that, we'll open it up for comments. So if I have everybody's blessing, I'm going to leave Don off hold so that he can let me know if anything goes awry in the system. All right.
Okay.
This will last about, I think, 13 to 15 minutes. We'll see. And I'm going to share a screen in a minute. Okay, you'll now be seeing a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, so we're seeing it, or I see it, so should be good.
Great. Caltrans has released a preview of new alternatives for the Gualala Streetscape project. Caltrans will discuss these in detail and answer questions about them at a town meeting a week from tonight. The project is being put together by Caltrans for the Mendocino Council of Governments, and GMAC's role is to advise on this based on community input. More information about the meeting is available at caltrans.ca.gov/Gualala Downtown. We recommend that everyone interested watch the Caltrans video preview, which can be found on that page or, for your convenience, at tinyurl.com/Gualala Downtown. In the 43-minute presentation, Caltrans gives the project's background that explores 4 alternatives. Now, while there are 4, we believe that there are only 2 that are relevant, and here's why. They included one based on the original 2002 town plan with an 80-foot right-of-way and a 17-foot landscape walkways, a center turn lane, and no parking on the highway. But this was basically a non-starter, and we believe that the county and Caltrans know that. Caltrans failed to note that there is an exemption clause in the town plan that allows the project to be wider or narrower due to physical constraints, including existing development. It also failed to note the 80-foot right-of-way was narrowed to 60 feet years ago through a mutual agreement with MCOG and the community. And on the lower part of this slide, you see the refined 60-foot pathway that was approved at that point. Another alternative, or non-alternative, is for a no project, which we understand to mean that Caltrans would do no work at all. We recognize there are some in town that like Gualala the way it is, but we feel the highway needs repaving, a variety of safety features, and ways to reflect the natural beauty around town as required in the town plan. A well-designed project would attract customers for our hotels, restaurants, and retail stores, which represent the heart of the local economy. And it would bring in millions of our taxpayer dollars back to our community. Now, we know change can be difficult when we already live in paradise. But let's remember that not long ago, Gualala had no sewer system and lots of overhead wiring, and some folks feared those changes too. So the real news is alternatives 4A and 4B. These appear to satisfy the majority of community concerns, and they both provide clear paths to complying with the town plan requirements, which is also our coastal plan. They're consistent with recent petitions that have circulated through town and with GMAC's position. They include a total of 3 lanes, 2 for driving, 1 for parking or turn pockets, interim parking on the east side or the west side of the highway, landscaping on both sides of the highway, sidewalks and bike lanes through the project, speed controls to help reinforce the 25-mile-per-hour limit, a clear path towards completing all town plan requirements when needed, and they could be restriped at low cost if Gualala's needs change in the future. Before we go any farther, I want to address the question of what happened to all 3, the idea that came out of last October's town hall. I'm asked about this often. This was for a 4-lane project, and it had 2 lanes for driving and 2 for parking, but no landscaping. It was scuttled by Caltrans last summer because MCOG and Caltrans felt it would be unacceptable to the community due to high concrete retaining walls and excessive width. There was substantial opposition in the community as well. This shows how the highway would have been 76 feet wide at Ocean Drive and all concrete and pavement. Caltrans then sought comment, and GMAC immediately recommended a return to the 3-lane concept that allowed for both interim parking and turn lanes where needed, as well as landscaping, bike lanes, sidewalks as required in the town plan. We also asked the county to honor the 2012 interim constraint plan to allow interim parking near the surf center. There have been a number of petitions and surveys that supported a similar view. The surf market petition last year simply called for a new proposal after the owner complained about the lack of parking. GMAC conducted a survey in September 2019 and found that 89% of our local residents favored a 3-lane approach with interim parking at the surf center. And this year, Save Gualala collected 1,280 signatures seeking a similar design. Alternatives 4A and 4B both honor most of those requests, but neither allows parking at the surf center because Caltrans designers and MCOG determined that we need a turn pocket there due to high traffic. Given the past focus on that spot and that issue, we asked project manager Frank Demling for more detail, and he explained this was important for safety and funding reasons. First, he noted in an email that Sundstrom Mall represents the core area for vehicular traffic as well as pedestrian and bicycle activity. Second, he said that under the interim constraint plan, which the council referred to in its last motion, parking for the surf would have been placed where the sidewalk would be, and that would conflict with the requirements for the grant that funds the sidewalk construction. The grant requires a continuous pedestrian walkway through the project, and the parking would interrupt it. And I'll touch more on that continuous pedestrian walkway a little later in the presentation. Although the council, the market, and Save Gualala all specifically asked for parking at the surf center, we believe 4A and 4B represent fair compromises on all community concerns and still leave a clear path to completing the town plan requirements when needed in the future, all without the need for an amendment to the coastal plan. We won't know for sure whether an amendment would be required until the matter goes through MCOG, the Planning Department, Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors, and finally the Coastal Commission. As we've discussed in past meetings, an amendment could require years and years of delay and could result in restrictions that are unappetizing to any parties in this project. Construction wouldn't start until 2026. This would give the surf center 5 more years' time to complete its long plan redevelopment project to add 90+ spaces if it so desires. That's a private matter that should be resolved by the owner and his tenants. And the GCAP committee takes no position on that issue, although we respect the idea of opening up ocean views, adding off-highway parking, and allowing expansion of the surf market. But let's move on to alternatives 4A and 4B. Now, 4A and 4B are basically the same from Center Street to Church Street, the lower half or the southern half of the town. It's a 60-foot right-of-way. It has a sidewalk, a green strip, a curb, bike path, drive lane, and a center turn lane through that area. From Church Street to Ocean Drive, it maintains the 60-foot width, but you'll note the turn lane is gone. This is 4A with parking on the east side of the highway. 4B is basically a mirror image with parking on the west side. But we'll go through 4A first. And I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. Caltrans goes through them at a much slower pace in its presentation, and we'll also make this presentation available to the public. This is the southernmost end of 4A. 4A1 is the slide, and it shows how the road would curve through the southern end of the city up to View Kitchen. The bright green bike paths wouldn't actually be bright green. They could be actually any color, including gray. I don't think there's a law about that. You'll note that there are flashers on the southern end here to get traffic to slow down. And there's sidewalks available for pedestrians. As we move up past the hotel breakers in the surf market, the Gualala Hotel and the entrance to the Sundstrom Mall, you can see the turn lanes fully developed here so that people could turn into and out of the Sundstrom Mall more easily, and the same for the surf center. Going further north, you can see more of this, but now we see the turn lane is narrowing. Right around the Surf Motel, it's almost disappearing, and a new lane is opening at the bottom of the screen. Again, this is 4A with the parking on the east side. And now we see, as we get in front of the Surf Motel and Fort Gualala and start to see the Sea Cliff Center, there's more parking on the east side. and still more as we move up to Ocean Avenue. And that's the end of 4A. 4B is the same from Center Street to Church. You see the turn lane there again. You see it narrowing, but this time you see a lane opening at the top of the screen, the west side of the highway. And we see the parking in front of the Surf Motel, Fort Gualala, and the Seacliff Center. And more parking in front of the Seacliff Center up to Ocean Drive. There is one other idea that Robert and I had while reviewing these slides, and that would be to move the bike path out of the roadway and put it next to the sidewalk. That would make it safer for kids and seniors and would reduce the risk a bike might swerve in front of a truck. And it would mean that cyclists wouldn't be riding between parked cars and traffic. That's important because we expect kids and seniors to be riding there, and we don't want to put them in that position. We have suggested this idea to the project team, but have not yet received a reply on the feasibility, so we can't consider that tonight. I would like to point out that if we did it this way, or if Caltrans and MCOG chose to do it this way, it would mean a continuous bike lane and sidewalk through the entire project zone, which would perhaps allow a little bit more flexibility in the project. That brings us to our committee's recommendation. After a lot of deliberation, Robert and I have been meeting about this for the last several days. We concluded both alternatives, 4A and 4B, would fulfill most community goals for the project and would keep the project on the path towards fulfilling the town plan without requiring a risky and time-consuming coastal plan amendment. We believe option 4A is slightly superior because it allows easier pull-off for newly arriving visitors from the south, which is good for our business. Most visitors arrive from the south and head home from the north. Businesses on the east side have less off-highway parking available, and at least in the project zone. And it allows for better curb appeal for restaurants and stores on the west side of the highway because there are no parked cars to block passers-by view of those businesses. And I included this photo at the bottom of this slide because we believe it could be aesthetically more pleasing. The east side of the highway is mostly already cleared for parking. You can see that in this slide, that there's a lot of parking area already available. So that concludes my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment and we'll go to the public comment period, and I will unblock everybody. Robert, do you want to conduct the public comments?
Okay, Tom, thank you for giving our GCAP presentation there. Anybody that's in the audience, would you like to comment on our presentation?
Yeah, this is Bill Merget, and I'd be happy to comment. I'm currently the president of the Gualala Cypress Village Homeowners Association, and we are pretty much in unanimity with regard to the town plan as currently devised, as proposed tonight by Tom, as laid out. It mimics many of the features that we had long sought through these last 2 decades. So I'm very encouraged in seeing this. I suspect there may still be some resistance from owners in Gualala as to the loss of their parking, but I think it's a wonderful compromise, and I fully support it. We here at Gualala Cypress Village, several of us have concerns about the speed that both goes up and down on the hill headed up toward Bakerstown. And this addresses that with some of its ideas of these rumble strips, as well as flashing lights, and maybe even some radar signs asking that people observe the 25-hour limit, because that's not what is going on the hill here. There's a very, very fast movement of trucks and cars and vans and what will you. But getting to the bottom line, a lot of work has been put into this over the years, and I really appreciate those of you on GMAC who have labored many, many hours to get to where we are today. And I hope that we're down here at the 5-yard line, and together we can all push this forward. Certainly, Gualala Cypress Village supports and appreciates your efforts and are willing to do what we can to help put the ball over the finish line or the goal line. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Any other comments from the audience? Any council members would like to comment?
Hi, this is Sonja Burgal. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can, Sonja.
Okay. Hey, I'm with Bike Mendocino. I just wanted to show support for this project and through all the transitions and different plans that you guys have come up with. I think I love the options that you've come up with, especially the separated bike lane option. I think having that border in between the bike lane and the road would really help bicycle tourism and help them feel safer on stretches of Highway 101, and also be an example for other towns along the coast. But yeah, great work.
Okay,
thank you, Sonja. I'm a cyclist myself, and I know I'd like that better. We have coast cyclists who come down here, of course, and those are most of our cyclists now. But really, one of the big goals here is to get kids and seniors out there. And as a cyclist, I just know they'll never feel really comfortable riding between cars and traffic. And but if we put it there, our visitors, our kids, our seniors will be riding it to go to the post office or get groceries or pick up the mail. And our visitors, we see families coming through here trying to ride on Highway 1, and it's kind of sad. So we do want to have a bike lane, and we'll try to see what Caltrans says about that.
I'd like to comment and appreciate Sonja's comments and being on the call representing her group. You know, I'm a senior here, and I've got 4 bikes that I take on the road and off-road. But I have to tell you, we have friends in Anchor Bay we routinely see. You know, we like to get up to Stornetta and stomp around. I just can't see myself getting on the roads above Gualala and those points north. I got to be younger and braver person than I am now, with no bike lanes at all, and you're essentially riding on the fog line at best to transverse down the road. But someday that'll change, I hope.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Any other comments out in the audience there? Council members? Okay, Tom.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. First of all, I'd like to express my appreciation to Caltrans for coming up with these the 4A and 4B alternatives, which seem, in my mind, quite reasonable and somewhat of a difficult choice between the two. But I guess if I had to pick one, I would be for it. As far as the separated bike lane idea, I think that's great. Although, in my mind, it's not absolutely necessary nor a deal breaker if you can't get it, because quite frankly, having a regular bike lane without separation would be a vast improvement over what we've got now. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you know, I'm a cyclist and I ride through town quite a bit, not so much in the winter when it's cold and or rainy, but and I've run into young kids, not very often, but I have. I've asked them, you know, hey, what do you think we'd like if we had bike lanes through town? And they said, that would be great. You know, so I think it's something, even though, you know, we don't see it that often, younger people riding bikes through Gualala, it's mostly tour bike riding. Nevertheless, I think if we have bike lanes, whether they're separated or not, I think that's going to encourage a little bit more cycling, and definitely make it safer riding through town. Where I must admit, I always have to be extra careful. And it's because of the cars that are turning either onto the highway or off of the highway, left or right. You have to be very conscious of that when you're riding a bike through town, and bike lanes will definitely help. And thanks, Tom, for that presentation. By the way, we should also note, just for the record, that there is a link on the GMAC website to the Caltrans page related to this Streetscape project, and with the links to their YouTube presentation, as well as a survey that people can take once they've gone through the presentation. So overall, I think, you know, this is a step forward with these 4A and 4B plans that Caltrans has provided. And I'm looking forward to hopefully moving forward with one of these plans.
Thanks, Don. John, do you have something to say? I see your light flashing.
Yeah, my kids run bikes, including the grandkids, and I'd be a little afraid of some of the younger ones riding up and down on the street. But, you know, separation, understanding, concern, I see a lot of potential little nuances that I think you guys would be amazed at how they would improve the streetscape. But I haven't really had a chance to pass any of those on. Nobody's really asked me much about them. So I'd like to be part of some additional planning as you guys move forward to see if we can look for things that keep this from being just a straight 2-lane sidewalk down the street to something that might have some meandering in certain parcels and might have nice walkable areas in certain businesses. I think you have a good start. I think there's still a lot of time and a lot of planning that will need to go into this. And like I say, I have 2 or 3 good ideas I think that you'll be surprised with. And think, oh my gosh, these aren't Caltrans improvements. These are customer owner improvements that make it a nicer place to visit, shop, and enjoy.
Well, we're really glad to hear that, John. And, you know, we haven't seen a final plan on it, but when you're ready to show us the parking lot for the Surf Center, we'd love to see that plan. And we hope you're still thinking that way.
Well, I think you've shown basically the parking plan and the redevelopment that appears to be the most liked by most everyone. And I would hope to be able to engage in that someday in our near future. The pandemic hasn't helped our world, has cost us a lot of business, and you know what it's like trying to keep the community together. And I appreciate your work, and I hope you guys can continue working with Caltrans. I think Frank has been a phenomenal asset, and he will continue to do this until the day he decides to retire.
Hear, hear. Couldn't say enough about that. And Frank, you know, this process this year, they're bringing us in a little earlier. Our best guess is, according to the Caltrans planning process, that there will probably be an environmental statement issued in the spring. That would be similar to the one we saw in June of 2019. And then we'll probably go through another round of comments and refinements. And John, I would be disappointed if you were not part of that process. And frankly, I know everybody in town would like to see this thing settled. I'm hoping we can all come together this time.
Well, there are a lot of environmental impacts that catch all of us, Tom. And there was one of your projects tonight that had a septic system replacement area. And I'm going, you know, the environmental stuff has almost stopped that and put a halt to the existing buildings. And it's really tough for us as novices in planning to get through all this and try to make it through the difficulties. It's hopefully we get through it, and it's a shining star for the South Coast and the gateway to Mendocino County.
Here, here. Couldn't have said it better, John.
Yeah, bravo. I love hearing what you're saying, John.
Yeah, thanks for your comments, John.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, guys.
One of the things that I liked most about the new Caltrans 4A and 4B alternatives is that it got us back on track. It got us off of this alternative 3 that was presented, which was just going to burden and litter our entire downtown stretch here with parking. It put parking at the north end of the project where the Ocean Drive, which is one of the major intersections, is, with the ability to be able to remove it at some point per the town plan. And it put that center left turn lane down where we're most congested in the downtown section, where the most people are turning off to go to businesses, where it's most unsafe, where we've got to look towards the future. We've got to have that vision that, okay, what's going to be best for Gualala down the road for our future generations? And I think the way it's looking or changing now, I thought it was very refreshing to see these newest plans. So I think Tom has a little bit more to say on this presentation as far as where to go to give your comments to Caltrans. I think you mentioned early in the presentation about the meeting coming up on the 14th, I think it is, of January.
Right.
So,
I'd like to propose that we consider a motion tonight too.
Okay.
That's okay.
Sure.
Anybody else had any comments before I do that?
Melissa, any comments from you? We've heard from Don. Melissa's still with us? I just heard her hang up, I think.
She's
Okay.
here. No, she's here.
There she is. Okay.
She's just on mute.
Even from Mary, our executive secretary, you have any comments, Mary? Okay. Let's.
No, I don't. I think that Plan A and Plan B, Plan A and B are very good plans. I'm so glad that we're finally getting back to what we used to have, or what we did have, and that the time between 21 and 26 will give John a longer time to build his really nice parking area that he had presented to us like 5 or 8 or 10 years ago. It was a lovely plan, and I'd really like to see that happen, open up the view there. It would be good for his business, it would be good for the residents, and it would be good for tourism. So I like the plan 4A and 4B, and I'm really glad it came back to that. So it gives us time, and that's good. And the project isn't canceled, thank goodness. It needs to be done.
May I add that I can say that our Gualala Cypress Village would lean toward Plan 4A for the reasons that are cited in your really informative report, including the aesthetics of it. The view is out toward the west. We'll keep the cars on the east side so you can more clearly see things toward the west. So 4A would be our preference, but both are doable.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, are we ready to consider a motion?
Okay. I think so.
I'll share a screen again. Okay. I would move that GMAC recommends approval of Caltrans Alternative 4A, which we believe would be consistent with the long-term goals of the Gualala Town Plan by providing important aesthetic and safety improvements, including but not limited to a total of 3 lanes, 2 for driving, 1 for parking and turn pockets, speed controls to help enforce the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, parking on the east side of the north end of town, landscaping on both sides of the street, sidewalks and bike lanes throughout the project, and a clear path towards completing all town plan requirements when needed.
Okay, anyone like to second that motion?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
I have a question regarding, there was some discussion in the Caltrans material about the possibility of a review by the Coastal Commission. Is it in fact true that with alternative 4A and 4B, there may not be any requirement for Coastal Commission review?
Can I answer that?
Go for it, Tom. I'd also would want to refer, well, we should also let Caltrans answer that question on the 14th, and somebody should submit that question to them.
I think they will address that question. There's not a lot of clarity, and I don't even think Caltrans or the county or the Coastal Commission at this point knows the answer. It goes beyond GMAC. We can recommend something. I think our endorsement of it would be meaningful to the Coastal Commission down the road. But it is possible that this would be approved. Right now, we are on the path to fulfilling the town plan, and this would continue us along that path. And personally, one of the experiences I picked up on last year was that Gualala just isn't ready to make that radical a change, to go from, you know, the dirt parking on the anywhere you want in town to having limited parking in town. Some people are having trouble visualizing parts of this project. And I understand and respect that. Change does come hard. But I think doing a more phased approach would perhaps appeal to the Coastal Commission, and they'd understand that. And I think it would appeal to the county planners and the county supervisors, as well as MCOG. So I'm hoping that we can do without a formal amendment.
I'd like to make make an input.
Okay, Melissa, go for it. You got the floor.
That you said that the way Tom worded it, I'd like to see it reworded so that it says something more along the line that we approve of 4A and 4B, weighted towards 4A, but we will not, but 4B would be acceptable if more of the residents prefer that one. I wanted to say, look, either one's fine, we prefer A.
Uh-huh.
However you want to say that.
Maybe
that sounds like, oh no, we only want A. Forget B. Make B go away. I don't want to say that. I want it to be, look, we like them both, but we prefer A if you don't mind.
I think that's a good suggestion from Melissa.
It is a good point.
It is a good thought. Let me pull up something to doodle on here. Over here.
Gus, you got me something prettier, because God knows my brain says, Melissa, I want to be asleep. I really want to be asleep. I wanted to have been asleep an hour ago. Please let me go to sleep.
Hang on a little longer.
Yeah, hang in there, Melissa. How about if we add a sentence at the bottom of it that says, while the council prefers alternative 4A, we would gladly, we would also support 4B.
Yes. There you go.
We would also strongly support 4B.
4B.
Yes, exactly.
If
just leave it there. Just leave it there.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. I can do that.
The better. Yeah. Okay. Right. You all okay with that? Amend the motion then, Tom.
I am. I resubmit the motion as amended with that sentence added.
Okay.
I can show that.
I'll second the motion.
Melissa will second that motion.
And,
as amended. And we can take a vote, right? Tom?
Yes. I vote
Don?
Aye. Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay.
Okay. And to your point, Robert, We want to encourage all Wallalans and residents of our communities to join us in supporting Caltrans and the Mendocino Council of Governments on this good compromise plan. We ask that our residents and neighbors support these key points, which are included in Alternative 4A, 3 lanes, including 2 for traffic and 1 for parking and turns, a continuous sidewalk and bike paths to let our kids, seniors, and visitors explore the town, interim parking on the east side of the street or west if we choose 4B, from Church Street to Ocean, and low maintenance landscaping on both sides of Gualala. It should also include improvements for speed controls. We believe these choices will reflect the natural beauty of our community, support our local businesses, comply with the town plan, which is our local coastal plan. And let me add in there, I think it will also go a long way to healing what's long been a divide in our community. Please watch the Caltrans presentation. You can find it. It's on our website. It's on Caltrans's website. But I made it easy for you here. tinyurl.com/Gualala downtown goes right to it. And or attend the Caltrans town meeting a week from tonight on January 14th. Details for that are on our website or at caltrans.ca.gov/Gualala downtown. Thank you all for your interest in this project. We care a lot about it and we care about your point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone on this agenda item. In the essence of time and Melissa keeping her on board here, let's move on to 8C. PSPS and Emergency Preparations Ad Hoc Committee. That's just Donald.
No. We switched a number, letter I on that list.
I'm so sorry. You're right. Okay. Forming a Gualala Special District Committee for the downtown planning and landscaping. Okay, let's bring that up. And now, fellow council members, remind me, since my name's attached to this, what that was all about.
I think I can answer that.
Okay.
I thought you had added this to the agenda, so I didn't know what it was, but I'll guess. In connection with the Streetscape plan, one of the mentions in the Caltrans project, in the FAQs, I think it was that they said, oh, I know what it was, way back when, years ago. They had a sentence in the revised plan that said that it was uncertain whether Gualala would want to maintain the planting. Now it looks like the county is thinking about taking a role in this, but leaving the long-term involvement up to a local owners in Gualala, community organizations or some other organization. And I believe the idea of a district came up, Robert, because you were thinking about, gee, could GCSD take this on? Would we form a downtown business district? Or would there be some other structure?
But Tom, maybe. That was before 4A and 4B came out.
Yeah,
now,
but I think that'll still come up as an option. Yeah. And I think, what I'd like to do tonight, we don't even have to vote on it, I don't think, but I'd like to take a sense of the council that, yes, if push came to shove, we would entertain the idea of forming a special district just for that purpose. And we don't want the county to think that we wouldn't, and therefore to eliminate any landscaping.
Now that I recall what it is, and Melissa, thanks for that correction there. I would pursue that with GCSD, with the Community Services District, if necessary, and we can leave it on the agenda, or we can bring it up again at a later point, table it for now. But that could be a pending item. But the way I look at 4A and 4B, and I see those landscaping strips, if you're just talking about landscaping now, they're going to be within the Caltrans easement. So I would think that Caltrans maybe would have a plan to contract that out, like Tom was referring to the county, or even contract it out further to local people or local agents, local groups, for all I know.
Well, let's keep in mind, this is a county project, not a Caltrans project. And Frank told us last year, Caltrans does not do landscaping. That's actually not so true. That Caltrans does do landscaping all over the state, but they do it on freeways, not so much in towns. They leave that to local municipalities. In this case, it would be the county. The county I think it was mentioned in the FAQs, and I could be wrong, indicated that they would be willing to explore that with the County Public Works. We got 5 years to figure this out. I think this is premature to talk about forming a district, but I do want to say, you know, yeah, we'll talk about forming a district if we have to. That's certainly a possibility.
I totally agree with what Tom just said. We're way premature on this, and let's not spend a whole lot of time on this tonight. We've got other matters.
Okay,
listen.
You're right.
I want to be here.
Mary has a question.
This is years away.
Yeah.
So I say move on. Let's move on.
Okay,
Please.
good point, Don. Melissa brought it up, though. Thank you, Melissa, for getting us onto that subject matter. Mary, go ahead.
It was just mentioned last month, excuse me, and you asked for it to be put on the agenda to discuss this month, and so I did, and that's where it came from.
Okay, good. Thanks.
So do you want me to table? Do you want me to leave it on the agenda? Do you want me to eliminate it off the agenda?
Take it off for now.
Very well.
Oh, I was gonna volunteer to be on the landscape committee.
Then we better keep it on because Melissa's volunteering for something.
Very well. I will put her on to it and keep this on the agenda. Thank you very
Melissa,
much.
it also includes planning, so let's leave it on. Okay, back up.
I'll volunteer to plan for the landscaping.
Okay, we'll keep it on. Back up to C, PSPS and emergency preparations. Don?
Well, I'm going to go to sleep. Y'all continue this without me. There's
Well, no,
nothing
we can't continue this without you. Can you hang on just a little bit longer, Melissa? We'll lose our
No.
quorum and then we can't go on.
There's a quorum. There's 3 of you.
No, that's not a quorum. We have to have a majority of the council for a quorum. That means 4.
Melissa,
You
I'm
have
trying
to
to rush.
have the majority of the members of the council. There are 4 members of the council,
No,
not
that's-
7. There are 7 seats. There are
that-
7 seats. There are 4 members. 3 is a quorum. 3 is a majority.
No, that's not correct, Melissa.
No, I don't
I've
think
checked
so.
it out with the county clerk's office and the county council's office. We need 4 people at a minimum because we're
7-member
designated
council.
to be a 7-member council. Otherwise, it would be whoever shows up for the meeting would be a quorum, and that would not be correct.
We could have been done with the rest of the
No, it was
agenda by now.
the majority of the members.
You know, on the bright side, Melissa, there's not much left to talk about. Can you hang in there a few more minutes? It's only
Melissa, just
8:15.
hang on here. Don, do you have anything on C?
No, I don't. The only, as a matter of fact, well, I do. Okay, why don't we just disband this PSPS ad hoc committee? I think our work is done. We did the recommendation report, and I don't know what else there is to do. Not only that, it's only me. So I'd say it's ad hoc anyway. That means it's temporary.
Okay, for now we can do
I would
that.
support that.
Okay.
Doesn't take
housing
any
and-
formal action.
Okay, Mary, you got that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the housing and economic development.
Relocation efforts continue. I have no other report tonight.
Okay, Don, how about on the electric vehicles charging station?
Real briefly, not a whole lot of progress. I did send a letter to Janet Orth, however, email, to encourage her to pursue her idea of seeding some of that land at the Caltrans turnout in order to, not turnout, but the pullout, in order to create county property where we could have a public charging station. But I haven't heard back from her. She's on vacation, so we'll pursue that when I hear back from her.
It was nice to see a Caltrans, showed that area down there on their 4A, 4B plan.
Right, I forgot to mention that. It was nice that the Caltrans project plan that was, on the YouTube presentation actually pointed that out, that was an area that was potentially for an EV charging station. Okay.
And there can be many uses down there, I think, and including a large vehicle parking space. Okay, moving along, Melissa.
Wait, I have one more thing to add on that. This is little more than a rumor at this point, but I picked up through the economic committee that the county is looking, and the state are looking very closely at really getting aggressive about charging stations and solar arrays. And one of the places they're looking at is Gualala. So that's just kind of government gossip at this time, but we will be bringing that back. And that speaks to a lot of the reasons Don was interested in this in the first place, I think.
Exactly.
Okay. Telecommunications Ad Hoc Committee.
The only thing I have there is that I did check in on the cable TV system, and it is still being explored as an option. The memo of understanding is still in the works. They're still just doing exploratory work. And also our YouTube views last month were just north of 100, I believe. That's not for our meeting. That was for the presentation. Actually, it wasn't even done at the meeting, but I did a presentation after our meeting that we put up on YouTube representing GCAP and what we expected to be coming up on the plan. And that got about 110 views, I think. So that's good to see. And I saw Caltrans's presentation has got about 110, 115 views right now too. So that's good.
Okay. Don and I are on the Water Ad Hoc Committee. We didn't meet this past month, but we've got rain at least to help our water source. Anything you want to say, Don? We'll try to meet this coming month.
Yeah, let's just try to meet this month. Yeah.
Okay. On to H, South Coast Volunteer Fire Department's new boundary map. I haven't had a chance to meet up with Greg Warner, so I don't know if he got the new map in, the new official revised map. So I'll keep pursuing that. We already covered I, so we're down to Administrative Secretary Mobert's report.
Yes. I worked 19.85 hours this month. And because of the end of the year process and starting the 2021 filing system, materials were $38.18 for a total of $335.93. I finally got my check for December, I apologize, December on the 4th of this month. So they finally got it to me, Robert.
Wait a minute, I haven't even submitted December yet. You just submitted
November. I finally got my November check, January 4th.
Good, okay. And I'm hoping that they'll pay that MCN bill, okay, that we had earlier in the agenda. Tom, do you want to?
Yes, that's been hanging fire for the last 3 months.
I'll remind him on the 179.80, 40. Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, I saw you raising your hand.
Yep. Mary, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I will send you a complete text of the statement I read tonight and a PowerPoint presentation. Don, I would like to see both of those go up on the website. And Mary, actually, the PowerPoint won't be necessary because it's in the recording of the meeting. But the script, I will give to Mary as an addendum to the minutes so she doesn't have to try to summarize everything I said.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. That
You're
saves
welcome.
time and you guys money.
And Don, if you want to, and Robert, I guess, if you guys want to send your motions to Mary, that saves her a lot of time to get those.
I'll hear it off of my recording as well. But
Okay.
the recorded, my internet link was breaking up, so that's why I took my picture, my video off.
Okay.
Okay, so where are we at here? Vice Chairman Murphy's report?
I just want to express some thanks to the community for all the input we've gotten on Streetscape. Some of it has been a bit harsh, but overall, we're grateful to get concepts. We're grateful to hear ideas, and we do listen, and I hope tonight's presentation shows that we respond. I also want to say goodbye to Kathy Scarmella, who local restaurant resident who passed away on Christmas Eve. Her obit's in the ICO this week.
Oh, wow.
Kathy was a woman I dealt with, local businesswoman. From the time I bought a house in Sea Ranch back in the early 90s and was living there, and she was so gracious and so helpful that I worked with her until she left the agency a few years ago, and still with the agency. She was the kind of person that really added a lot to Gualala, and I'm sorry to see her go. So.
All right, Tom. Thank you. Okay, Chairman Juengling's report. That's me. I'll say this. This past year's events have been extremely challenging on both the local and the national level. I'd say especially on the local level. Thinking back to many hurdles that were overcome in 2020, I must commend all who became involved to make for a better Gualala. My hope is that we can further come together as an entire community in 2021. Our combined efforts to reinvent ourselves, our coastal communities, and the precious environment we live in will only assist us in maintaining an economically viable, stable, and safe coastal lifestyle that we love and that other folks envy and want to travel to. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
So we're to the point where we can adjourn if somebody wants to make that motion. Maybe Melissa would like to make that motion. Is she still there?
Sort of.
She is.
Well, we're waiting, Melissa.
What? What are you waiting for?
A
I was
motion
down
to
at number
adjourn?
13, adjournment. We were waiting for
A
a
motion
motion.
to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Tom, second. Tom,
Yeah, aye.
Don,
Aye.
Melissa.
Please, for the love of God, yes.
Aye. Okay. And myself, aye. Okay. Thank you all for your input and opinions and attendance. Have a good night.
823, a new record.
Yeah,
Pretty
really.
good. Bye, you guys.
Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
and a happy new year to everybody.
Okay.
And to you, Mary.
Best of luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.